And thank you to Desert Financial Credit Union for sponsoring our Community Spotlight program. Good morning, Rim Country. Chris Higgins in the studio. Happy Wednesday. It's hump day. Everyone out there, hope you're having a wonderful morning. And this morning on our Community Spotlight program, we have District 1 County Supervisor Steve Christensen. Good morning, Steve.
Morning, Chris. How are you? And good morning to Rim Country.
Oh, doing great. I mean, look at this weather. 65 degrees today, sunny.
Yeah. Almost unbearable.
I know. We're tortured. We are tortured here in Payson and Rim Country.
That's why we live here.
Yeah, I know some cooler weather coming this weekend, Saturday, and we'll be talking about some festivities that are happening Saturday that you're involved in and I'm involved with. But I know yesterday it was 70, today 65. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and so a little bit of bad weather here and there doesn't really bother us because we know good days are coming again. So.
Oh yeah. The sun is just literally right around the corner. Usually the next day or in a couple days.
Yeah.
That's what's beautiful about the Southwest.
Yeah, and here we are at the first part of December. The electric light parade's coming up on Saturday, but there's a lot more going on down at the park.
There is. So electric light parade, you'll be in the electric light parade?
Not this year, no.
Not this year? Okay.
Not this year. I had a conflict, but I plan on being in there next year.
Okay. So electric light parade is this Saturday, 6 o'clock, starting in Green Valley Park, making its way all the way to right here, the Sawmill Theater complex.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then there are a lot of activities added to that day, to the event. It's called Winter Wonderland, and there is a large ice rink, synthetic ice, that is going to be brought up and set up Saturday and Sunday. So
how does that work, synthetic ice?
I'm not sure, but I've heard it's pretty slick. No pun intended.
Yeah.
It's
some kind of a plastic that
like a plastic.
is real slippery.
Yep.
Interesting.
And they can set it up. They're setting it up in the parking lot east of the bowl. So you have where the concerts in the park are, that bowl, and they have the kind of long parking lot.
Right.
So it's going to be almost the entire parking lot will be an ice rink.
And so they have the actual skates and everything for you there.
Yep, skates that are made for the that synthetic material. And I was told they can fit approximately 40 to 50 people on the rink at one time. So I think it'll be a popular attraction. There are many people on social media, on Facebook, that have been commenting and saying, wow, we're excited for this. This is amazing, having an ice rink. So because of the reaction that the town received, they extended the ice rink into Sunday as well. So it'll be set up Saturday, I believe. Festivities start at 1 p.m. and they go until 5:30, because then at 5:30 there's a tree lighting there in front of the Zangray Museum. Yeah. And then the electric light parade starts at 6 p.m.
That's great. So that's kind of an extension of the 50th anniversary for Payson, right?
Yeah, this year we were looking at just some of the events, just doing a little extra. Doing a little bit more, and just seeing, the response from the community. And I think some of these events, some of these features or things that are being done might be brought back next year, depending on, popularity. I know the 50th anniversary celebration was such a wonderful event that we're discussing doing that every year. So obviously not a 50th, but doing a Payson Days, or celebrating Payson and the history of Payson.
Well, of course, Payson's been here for 140 years.
Yep.
But it's only been incorporated.
Yep.
So that really shows a distinction too between my job and your job in the town council. So when a community incorporates, what that means is they become an official town or city or something like that on their own. They establish their own government. They become their own individual taxing agency, and then they make their own decisions locally through their council or the mayor, things like that. And so I am on the Board of Supervisors for the county, so I address the rural areas of Gila County. And even though we live here in Payson, I'm concerned about what goes on here. I don't have jurisdiction over the town of Payson because it's its own government.
Gotcha, yeah.
Same with Star Valley, same with Globe, Miami, several other places.
Yeah, and I think those are the only incorporated towns in Gila County, correct?
Yeah, there might be another couple south. I don't know if Hayden is. I don't know, Superior. I don't know some of those down south, but definitely Globe in Miami and Star Valley and Payson.
Yeah, and I don't think Hayden, well, that was in 2010, the population 662 people.
No, that's a no.
But maybe, wow, in 2021, 518 people.
Wow.
Yeah, and you have Winkleman down there too, Hayden and Winkleman. Yeah, so yeah, the little...
Not real positive about those. They're probably rural, but not in my district, and they're so far south. I've never even been to Hayden or
I know, that's
Winkleman.
Gila County, yeah, there's some distance between northern
Yeah,
and
it's way
southern.
down there. They call that the Copper Corridor, by the way, and it goes down into Pinal County, and it's where a lot of copper mining and stuff has occurred, and so some of that stuff is boom and bust. So there's some blight down there. There's some things run down. The economy kind of shifts up and down that way.
So it is Hayden. Hayden is incorporated. So Globe, Hayden, Miami, Payson, Star Valley, and Winkleman.
Okay,
and
great.
Those are the towns. It says, it's funny, it says cities and towns. None of us are cities, but just all towns.
Yes, and that actually is a point, So a city is a larger community and has a different structure, I believe, when it comes to the government. So just an interesting note there. I did want to say too, though, that, and I'm not involved with this, however, if people are interested, there is a gun show out at the Tonopatchy Tribe this weekend as well.
Oh, okay. Gun show out there. Wow, I hadn't seen
Pretty
anything.
sure,
So
yeah. I think it's Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah. Oh, that's always a good time out there. Usually well attended. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
Go out and see what you might find,
Yeah. No, there's a few things going on this weekend. Check out the Rim Country Regional Chamber of Commerce, their calendar. They usually have events that are going on in Rim Country, there's,
Well, we're coming up on the holidays, the Christmas time.
Yeah.
And so if you can shop local, great. That's what you should do. Try and attend some of these bazaars. So it benefits the county if we shop locally, the sales tax, all of that commerce that's done here in Gila County benefits everybody here in Gila County. So tourism, we just had a report from the Discover Gila County Industrial Development Authority that does that for Gila County. They bring tourist dollars into Gila County in the tens of millions of dollars that comes to Gila County. And that's what I would call pass-through people with the money staying here. And it has been exponentially increasing and growing all the time. Now that does increase some traffic, but it really helps to keep taxes at bay when you have tourism dollars coming into the area. So really helpful.
Yeah, it's without that tourism, I know Payson wouldn't have the services that we provide residents, wouldn't be able to pay for a lot of the services, just bottom line. So there would be less offered by the town.
Or higher taxes, to make up the difference. And you can, so it becomes a real problem. So tourism is really great.
Yes. Yep. It is. I always refer to it like grandchildren, where your grandkids, they come and visit. It's wonderful. You have a great time with them. But then when it's time to go home, you give them back to their parents.
That's right.
It's kind of like tourists, except with your grandkids, you're spending money on them. Usually, money's coming out of your wallet for your grandkids. With tourists, money's coming out of their wallets and going into your economy your local economy. And so that's nice. And then they go home. They don't stay here, they go home. So the weekends, might be a little congested, there's a little more traffic, but then during the week, it's kind of like, okay.
Well, they're buying things, they're shopping, they're going to restaurants, they're staying in hotels or B&Bs, they're enjoying themselves, and so they'll spend maybe a couple $1,000s per family on a visit up here, and that money then really benefits the locals. There's not very many local businesses, I think, would complain about tourism increasing.
Oh, no, and that's something, I remember when we had our business, when we had Scoops, that was one of the things, as a business owner, and when you listen to, people or read about, people and their feelings on traffic and having to wait, 5 minutes, 10 minutes at a restaurant and different things, or 15, 20 minutes, and feeling like that's really, they're inconvenienced and it's horrible and it's not good. It's the complete opposite as a business owner. You think, wow, this is good. We have customers. We have people that are visiting our businesses, our business, and that's what keeps it open. If it wasn't for tourists in the summertime, we probably wouldn't have at least a third or a quarter of our businesses up here.
Well, and the employees and everything else, so, it just creates an economy. We have to have a good economy in order to survive, so part of that is tourism, a big part of it.
Yes, since we don't have really any industry. Building is starting to come back. I know at least northern Gila County, building.
We are building up here.
Yeah, so it's good, and that contributes to the finances and helps the town and the county out with funds. So that is coming back, and that's good to see.
Sure is.
Yeah. So you had a meeting yesterday.
Yesterday we did. We had a regular meeting.
Yeah, and you voted, I think, on something that, a lot of people we've been talking about in the town for a while, in the county. I know you've discussed, this before, short-term rentals.
Yeah, short-term rentals, vacation rentals, weekend rentals, whatever you want to call them, Airbnb, Vrbo. There's lots of ways of terminologies that describe what is happening. And so the state of Arizona, a number of years ago, made regulation to where people could rent their homes out on a short-term basis within a neighborhood and stay untouched by any municipality, HOA, or county government regulation. Okay, so that, I guess, had kind of a soft start, worked out pretty good. Somebody just would rent short term, somebody's coming for the Super Bowl, so they rent their home for a week or two. And then it started growing into a monster, and it has grown into a pretty large monster in some ways. So in some ways it's really great for the economy. People can come up, they can spend some time. If the motels are all full, you can find probably an Airbnb or a Vrbo, something like that. And so it has created an additional income for a lot of people that have a second property or something. But what also is occurring is there's people that are pursuing it as a business quite vigorously. So people that don't even live in our area are purchasing homes throughout northern Gila County, and mostly the issue is in northern Gila County, but they're purchasing homes and turning them strictly into vacation rentals with no intent of ever living in them, no intent on making it a long-term rental, no intent on really just flipping it and selling it again. They're turning it into a business, and it could be right next door to you. And so the county, over the past couple of years, because I've received a lot of complaining about these in a neighborhood that's really negatively affecting the residents of Gila County, my constituents, etc. And so my concern is for them, not so much a business owner or someone that's trying to do something. So I don't want to eliminate the Vrbos. We can't, by the way. We can't just say we don't want them. but I do want to be able to have a database and have a fee-based permit for it, and have the ability for the county community development department to take applications for them, take a fee for it, and have the ability to do something if the particular owner is not doing everything that he should be doing. So clearly, well over 90% of the people that have these are pretty good owners. They do a great job. They handle the discipline themselves. They're part of already a website such as Verbo or Airbnb, who also has an oversight situation. But we wanted to make sure that we had a regulation that requires certain things like minimum insurance, that the capacity is not overdone. Many of the properties have a septic system, and so you have neighbors that have septic systems, and so if you overuse that septic system, then all of a sudden you've got water, you know, the gray water, whatever you want to call that, running down the gutter or down the street or into the neighbor's yard. So it's impacting the neighborhood with traffic, noise, and inconvenience in some situations. So we wanted to have an ordinance, not because we love ordinances or not because we like to grow government, I don't, but we needed to do something to at least have the ability to regulate at some level so that everybody can stay happy in all of our wonderful neighborhoods that we have. And so I feel sorry for the residents that have lived for decades perhaps on the street, and now they're the only permanent resident on the street. The whole rest of it's Airbnb vacation rentals, and the amount of people coming in and out changes every weekend, changes every few days, and you never know what you're going to get, whether it's going to be a rowdy bunch or just some very nice family. Right.
There. Yep.
You never know.
So did you get input from your sheriff or sheriff's department on calls or
Yes.
Disturbances, how many they respond to? You did, and did those numbers, have they seen an increase over the years?
Oh yes, yes, and it's a big stress on the sheriff's department. And so what happens is it takes a little time to respond sometimes, but they'll get a complaint up in Strawberry or Pine or someplace. And so then they have to send an officer up there. So it takes an officer off of some other area in the county, because they're not just all sitting there like taxi drivers waiting for a job. They're already working, and so then they have to go up and investigate. And so what they'll do is they'll show up. They have no idea who the owner of the house is. There are guests there, and so they can say, look, you're too noisy, or you can't have that bonfire, but the actual issuance of any sort of fines or a ticket, they don't know who to give it to. And so it creates kind of a deal. I mean, there's people that actually shoot firearms and, create significant hazards in the area. They think, I think, because they get out where there's trees and stuff, that they can do whatever they want.
And that they're in the woods and hey, anything goes.
Even though there's houses all around.
Yeah.
And so, anything goes is the attitude that they take.
Some of them,
And we've had to create an ordinance on feeding animals, because a lot of the short-term rentals promoted feeding wildlife. So, come here, take pictures with the elk, and they actually promoted the fact that their particular home gets visited frequently from elk, and here's some corn to give the elk, and everybody's like, oh, well, that sounds like a great experience, so let's go do that. And then we know that a lady was killed about a month ago, not in our county, but over around closer to Williams, from what I understand, from feeding, and the animal attacked. So the animals do attack. That's the first death in Arizona, though, from an attack.
Which is very unfortunate. And if there's things that can be done, measures that can be taken to help prevent that. or decrease the odds of that happening.
So there's an ordinance where you're not allowed to do that now.
Mhm. Yeah, so, yeah, I was thinking about that because we had implemented similar policies here in Payson with the short-term rentals, and I know our police department said the same thing. They saw an increase in calls and having to respond to complaints in neighborhoods about the short-term rentals and noise, parking, other issues. And, it's in Payson, it is a smaller community, so responding, and it might take a little while, but it's not that far. In the county, that's something that, the distance presents, challenges, because like you said, it takes longer to respond to Pine or Strawberry or somewhere else, maybe Forest Lakes, or, different parts of the county, Christopher Creek, where...
Yeah, Christopher Creek.
Christopher Creek, yeah, where you have to, get out there, and like you said, the sheriffs, they're busy, the deputies are busy, doing other things. There's a lot of activity that goes on in this area, in Rim Country, so.
Right.
And they have a big area to cover.
So now we will start compiling a database, and we will know the address, who owns it, contact information, and we can hopefully address those issues. The Sheriff's Department will get a copy of that, and so anyway, it just becomes a, hey, we got a phone call from neighbors that said your clients are disruptive, and you need to take care of that, and if you don't take care of that, we're going to have to issue a fine. And so people usually will kind of get busy.
Yes.
If a fine's involved, and also if there's any risk of them losing their listing on the Verbo or Airbnb, that's a big hit to their business.
Yeah.
So they don't want to lose their listing. So any clients that they may have that are having some kind of toga party or whatever they do, they need to call them up and say, hey, you need to shut it down right now or leave the house, whatever.
And that is also in the best interest of the homeowner, because when there are activities like that are going on, there is also a higher risk of damage to the home, or things happening to their home that they have to pay for.
Yeah, think about that.
Yeah.
And then there's the fire danger of people that may, because like I said, they get out there, they think they're in the middle of the woods, they're camping, but they're actually in the neighborhood. So they start fires, bonfires, blowing off fireworks, shooting guns, playing music really loud, whatever. They're having a good time. I love it when people have a good time, but not at the expense of the neighbors.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
There has to be a level of consideration for the neighbors.
And we can't have 30 people in one house either.
No. So anything else of real interest or that was at the meeting or previous meetings or maybe coming up?
Well, we're kind of winding down. Yesterday was our last regular meeting for the year. And so even though we're still working and doing stuff, that was our last regular meeting. We'll start things back up January 2nd. And so, yeah, there's always stuff coming down the pike and everything. Hopefully going to finalize a parking situation on a trailhead up in the Pine area. We're just in the final stages of doing that. Things take time, what do you think of this? Well, this is what I think of that. What do you think of this revision and this and that? And so that back and forth usually takes quite a bit of time. I would say that we had a great Thanksgiving, and I'm really looking forward to having the holidays come up. And the Shop with a Hero. Today, I think, is it today? Is the deadline to apply for that, and that would be at the Sheriff's Department.
It might be. I'll look that up.
I think I heard that, and so this is where you can make an application for your child to shop with one of our heroes, which would be, I believe they've included fire department, police department, sheriff's department, and.
I think DPS, Tono Apache Tribe,
so there's gift cards provided, and then they go shopping with their hero to do some Christmas shopping and things like that.
Yeah, so Shop with a Hero, when does it say applications can be picked up? The deadline is December 6th for Globe and, oh no, December 6th for Globe and the 10th for Payson. So today is the deadline for Globe, but the 10th is the deadline for Payson.
Okay, I heard it today. Well, anyway, get down there, just in case.
Yeah.
Go to the Sheriff's Department right here on Main Street, 108 West Main Street, and pick up an application, and we're gonna have some fun with that.
Yeah, that is I remember last year, the Nazarene Church, it's just a great event. The kids have an amazing time, and also a helicopter too. One of, I think, Native Air, I believe, brought Santa in a helicopter, and so kids got to see that, and all the sirens. You know, the kids get taken to shop with their heroes in the vehicles, and they have all the sirens and lights going.
I remember when they did that last year, I thought something really bad had happened because there was all these sirens and slow-moving vehicles down the highway.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is happening? And then I knew, and then someone said, well, that's what it was. So yeah, that's a lot of fun for them. The election, you know, is going to start ramping up here after the first of the year. You know, people will start getting more signatures and stuff and filing as we enter into the election season once again.
Yes.
So one of the important things that the county wants to do is be dead on accurate with the voting count. So the county is the one that conducts the elections, whether it's for the town of Payson or something else. The national, state, local, all that, the county does all of those. We just had an election for the school override. So the county conducted the election for the school district vote. And so we do all of that. So we collect all the ballots, and then we tabulate them and come up with the final tally. So as we look next year, there's lots of, I've really done a lot of work trying to figure out exactly whether or not we're doing a great job, or whether there's a chance that things are being manipulated against the will of the people. So I have looked into this thing quite a bit. The state of Arizona, the legislature, in other words, the laws of Arizona is the one that regulates all the elections in all the counties. So we follow the rules according to section 16 of the Arizona Revised Statutes, according to what the state of Arizona says we are allowed to do. And so we have to work within those parameters. We're not allowed to add to it or take away from it. We have to adhere to all of the testing that they require, all of the hand counting to test as they require. The Republican and Democrat Party are allowed to come in after an election has been conducted, and they are allowed to pull sample ballots from wherever they would like to pull them from the county precincts, all the different various things, and they are allowed to do a hand count and compare that against the machine count, both Republican and Democrat. If there's any inconsistencies or anything like that, they figure out where that inconsistency is. It's usually human caused. In fact, every time that it's been conducted where it didn't jive up exact, it was because someone miscounted during the hand count. So a hand count is not, it's perceived as being safer or more legitimate, but it actually is fraught with possible human error as well. So the tabulator is different than an election machine necessarily. The tabulator is what counts our paper ballots. So people say, I don't want to have electronic voting. Well, we don't have electronic voting here in Gila County. We have paper ballots. If you go to vote, you're going to be filling out a piece of paper. You go ahead and fill in the little circles and all that. And then that piece of paper is run through the tabulator. And the tabulator is essentially a very simple counting machine. it tabulates where all the dots are and everything, and then that tabulator is checked regularly prior to the election, because the state of Arizona will send sample ballots to be run through the tabulator. Those sample ballots are completely randomized by the state of Arizona. Gila County, none of the counties knows what's on those ballots. They don't know what's right or wrong about those ballots at all. They just run them through the tabulator and give the results to the state. Then the state says, well, you got it wrong or you got it right, okay? And if something's wrong, they start tracking it down. Run them again, we still got a problem, we have to look into it. That's not happening in Gila County. I'm just saying that's the process. That's a fail-safe, a check, a test. And so then some people are purporting that we need to do the tabulation count and also do a full and complete parallel hand count. Well, it's illegal to actually institute that. If the Board of Supervisors were to do that, the state of Arizona would come to us and say, you have added something into the election that is not allowable. You can't do that. You can't just randomly, and I'm glad I can't do that, because think about the different peoples that may be in charge from period and time and different eras that say, well, I want to institute this kind of new counting procedure, or this, I want to institute an additional thing over here. And that's where the state says, no, you can't do that, because we don't know what you're up to. And so, anyway, the only time an absolute full hand count would be conducted is if the state attorney general ordered it for whatever reason they felt it was needed to do. Then we could do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
It is a case where people don't realize there's state statutes, there's state laws that municipalities, counties, these governments have to operate under. And if everybody was just allowed to do their own thing, or say, oh, we want to do it this way, think about all the inconsistency and just the constant changing. Because then you get different people in and they'd say, no, we don't want to do it that way anymore, we want to do it this way. How do you manage that? How do you control that? How do you monitor that? Or who makes sure that it is legit, that it's being done properly? And
the state of Arizona does that. And so I just want to assure you that I would never do anything, vote something in that I knew was blatantly illegal to do just to appease a certain amount of people, say that I would like to see that done.
Hey, I understand. I know how that is as well.
Yeah.
And so August 6th, primary election 2024, and then November, what do we got? November, no, it's 5th. November 5th, general election. So
it'll be here before you know it.
It will be. The way that 2023 has flown by.
Oh man.
2024 is not going to slow down.
It's not. But I'm really excited to work for the people of Gila County and just do the best I can every day to improve their lives, make things safer, more secure. And so I really appreciate everyone that does call me and gives me input.
There we go.
Yeah, go to the website, you'll find my email and my phone number.
And that is Gila
County AZ.
Gila County AZ. That's right.
.gov.
.gov, yeah. Gila County AZ.gov. Hey, well, boy, that's 30 minutes always goes quick. Thank you so much for coming on, Steve. Thank you, everyone, for listening and watching. Also, thank you to Desert Financial Credit Union for sponsoring our Community Spotlight program. Also want to say hi to BJ Boyer watching this morning on Facebook. And
hey, BJ.
Ty Lewis watching from Bakersfield, California.
Wow.
And Ty is trucking the goods out there, getting goods across the country for us. So thank you for all you do for us, Ty. And thank you, BJ. Well, before we get back to the music, let's get a quick update from the National Weather Service.